Have you ever found yourself in a position in your retail or e-commerce store where money was tight? Even though you're making sales, you're juggling money around to be able to pay your staff or your suppliers. And sometimes, or maybe quite often, there isn't enough money to even pay yourself. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Salena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. Just yesterday, I had this exact conversation with a retailer who was in this position. She didn't know whether she should either throw in the towel and risk losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, or she should go boots all in. So even though the business was making enough money to cover the team that were working in her store, there wasn't enough money for her to pay herself. And, this might be a position that you found yourself in, or maybe it's a position that you have sitting in the back of your mind. It maybe gives you panic attacks when you think too hard about it. Look, in today's Facebook Live, I'm going to share with you 3 things that you can do to combat this situation. Now, first up, let's be really clear. This business owner was doing lots of things right. Number one, she had a team in place. So she already was delegating, she had processes in place, or she has processes in place, and she knows that in order to grow the business, she can't be there working in the business all by herself. And so that's one great thing for a business owner to own. The second one is she understood that getting paid is an obligation of the business. It's not optional, right? If you have a business, you need to get paid for the time that you put into it. And the third thing was that she was fully aware, or is fully aware, that this is a pivotal moment. It's that turning point when you look back and you say, that was the point where I either put everything in or I decided to throw in the towel. Now, before I forget, if you're looking for help and strategies on how to scale your business, this Friday, the 24th of September, my Retail Breakthrough series goes live. It is only available for a limited time. It's about 10 days I put it up for once a year. And in here, I'll give you 4 trainings just like this one that will help you to scale your business. So if you either face those similar problems where you have cash flow issues, or you're struggling with sales, or you're juggling money around, then I'm going to share with you right now 3 mindset shifts that you have to make if you want to scale. Now, I'll be totally honest, a lot of these are relative to women because we operate very differently to men. But hey, if you're a guy, you might, and you found yourself in this position, there's a good chance that some of these mindset shifts that we're talking about have to apply to you too. So the first mindset shift that I want you to be conscious about is success or sacrifice. Now, in the movies, the high-flying corporate woman, she wears suits, she spends most of her time trying to allay the guilt of loving what she does and spending the time at work with the time that she isn't spending with her family. Now, if she has a stay-at-home husband, quite often there's a big guilt trip from him if he's a stay-at-home dad, that she's never there to put the kids to bed, or she's always traveling. She gets side-eye, look, I've experienced this as well. The side-eye from the mums at school who get so annoyed that you aren't helping out because you're too busy working. Personally, that was a situation that I had when my daughter went to school. Of the whole year, there were only 2 mums that worked. And, hey, I chose to work. So it was like I was choosing work over my children. And the other thing that we quite often see in the movies is the high-flying, successful corporate woman gets really criticized if she has help. So whether that's a nanny or a gardener or a personal assistant, the fact that she's getting help seems to bring out this weakness in her. And usually at the end of the day, she's drinking herself into oblivion to ease the shame of wanting to be more for herself, like to be more than just a mum. Now, that's how the media portrays being a successful woman. But hey, if that's what success looks like, who the freaking hell wants that? Like, who wants to be constantly guilted? Who wants to feel like shit because you chose to spend some time at work rather than be at the school assembly? Like, the way the media portrays being a successful, accomplished woman very rarely is in a good light. So as a result, the connotations that we have as women is if we are successful, we have to sacrifice. So we have to sacrifice that time for ourselves. We have to sacrifice self-care. We have to sacrifice, being at the school assemblies. We have to sacrifice being there when our kids walk. Maybe it's healthy lunches. But the fact of the matter is, if we take that media portrayal out of the conversation, there are some amazing role models in business. And one of the people I always look up to is Jen Gill from Mountain Bikes Direct. Now, if you listen to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, I interviewed her about 18 months ago. And she talked about how she scaled her business and how she does it with a family, and her husband works in the business as well. But here is a woman who has this amazing relationship with her kids. She is always out on her mountain bike. The family unit for her is so tight. She's in fact pregnant, or she may have just had the baby just recently, and she runs a successful 8-figure business. Amongst all of this, pre-COVID, she was traveling around the globe doing lots of speaking, doing lots of PR, and doing lots for retail and for charities as a whole. And she is an amazing, successful businesswoman, but she's still there for her family. She doesn't drink herself into oblivion every night. She does do things like turn up to school assemblies. And so you can have this well-adjusted life. You can have both. And I really want to get you to have in your head that being successful in business does not mean that you have to sacrifice everything. Yes, you get to make choices and you choose whether you want to spend time at work. But what I want you to think about is, if you're spending time doing what I call busy work tasks, if you're spending hours faffing about on Canva or hours uploading product to your website, is that really the best use of your time? You're choosing to do that, but at what cost? And potentially, if you were paying someone a small amount of money to do it, then you can regain that time. So we talked earlier about juggling money and finances and sales. And here's the thing. Sometimes you have to make this mindset shift to spend money in order for the money to come in, which sounds like such a big oxymoron. And this is, again, another one of those mindset blocks that we have around money, is if it's easier for me to do it, it's cheaper for me to do it. But the fact is, quite often it's not. Quite often it takes you longer, or you don't do as good a job, or you're doing it just because it is this safe, comfortable place for you to be in, where you don't have to confront the scary part of being the CEO of your business. And look, by the way, if this type of training, if this taking a holistic approach to being the CEO of your business and not the shopkeeper is something that you're interested in, if it's something that you feel that you need help with, then make sure you check out the Retail Breakthrough series that I said. It drops on Friday, the 24th of September, totally free, but only around for about 10 days. You can head over to salenaknight.com/breakthrough to make sure that you get the details when the first video goes live. 4 videos in all. First video goes live this Friday. And in it, I'm going to share strategies and tips like these to help you to scale your business. They're not boring ass strategies like, go and segment your email list. Like, that's the kind of stuff I teach you. This is a lot more holistic. So one of the things that, as I was saying, one of the things you need to think about is success does not come at the expense of having to sacrifice everything, but you do need to make choices. And sometimes those choices are going to be difficult to make. Now, that's the first mindset shift you have to make. And the second one I want you to think about, especially for the women here, is you need to think like a man. And what I mean by this is women think very, very differently to men. Men go into business generally with a goal. Either it's to flip a business, or it's they can see what needs to be done in order to scale a business and to make money, to turn a profit, and either to keep it or to get rid of it. So they go into business with a goal. And generally, that is very money orientated. So they know what they want to achieve, and they put a time frame on it, and they look at what has to be done in order to get to that business, to make the money, to get out as quick as possible. But women seem to have this inbuilt belief that if we make money, we have taken it away from somebody else. Now, let me put this in context. This conversation I had with the retailer yesterday, she actually said to me, she's in the food business. She said, first of all, she said, I don't want to be the most expensive store in town. And when I said, why not? She said, well, I don't believe that people should spend this kind of money buying food. And in fact, sometimes if there's a really big order that comes through, I just give them a discount without them even asking for it. Now, that is, you might be thinking, who the hell does that? But actually, a lot of people do that. And if they don't do it, they quite often think that, because most of the people that I work with have gone into business for a reason. They wanted to change the world in their small little way, whatever that looks like. And as women, we want to make people happy. We want to accommodate everyone, but we also don't want to actively put people in a position where we feel like we're taking from them. It's easy, it's easy to give help. It's really hard to ask for help. And so when this retailer said to me, sometimes I give them a discount without them even asking for it because I don't believe that they should spend that much, I said to her, well, so what now? You've got this God complex that lets you tell people what they value and what they don't? And that was really eye-opening for her, because she's like, well, no. And I said, but yes, you did. By doing that, you're saying to someone, you're not allowed to value what I'm selling to you. Like, I don't value it because I'm going to give you a discount. But yet she went into business to sell this product because there was a need for it. She went into business because she knew people were looking for these products, which means people value these products. And so it's easy to do, but when somebody calls you out on it, it can be difficult to know why you do it. And this is, as I said, this is an intrinsic belief that, whether it's society or the way that you grew up or the media, it's this thing that women in general seem to have, which is, I can't take your money. But the fact of the matter is, if you own a retail or e-commerce business, you're here to sell stuff to people, which means you're going to have to take people's money. And you cannot feel icky about that. because what you're really doing is giving something to someone that they value. Now, I don't care if that is a can of Coke from a convenience store. The fact is, if I want a can of Coke, it's because I feel like it and I'm thirsty. And so by buying that, I'm going to make myself feel better. And for look, 99% of you who are watching this or listening to this podcast, the fact is what you're selling makes people happy, right? It takes some kind of burden off them, or it increases their dopamine levels, whether you're selling flowers or shoes or chocolates or jewelry. It doesn't really matter. Most people are out looking for something to buy because they've got a need or a want for that thing. And so by you not charging what you're worth, or by you discounting your product, what you're really saying is, you know what, like, I am more important than you because I am allowed to tell you what you value and what you don't. But the fact is, you don't. You don't have that opportunity, and you're devaluing the experience for your customer by not taking their money. And so this is, as I said, something that we tend to do more as women than men do, because men have gone into a business to make money. They know what needs to be done. They know generally what money needs to be spent, and they just implement it. They don't get emotionally tied up in the transaction. Now, I'm not saying you should give up all your emotions, right? That's one of the reasons women make great retailers, is because we can connect. It's because we can see what our customers want. But you can't do that at the expense of making money, right? It's back to that sacrifice thing. You can't sacrifice your business for your customers. They don't want you to, because if you're not making money, then who's going to be around to serve them, right? So you have to start thinking like a man. You have to start knowing that you're in business for a reason. You're in business to make money, to serve your customers, and maybe it is to change the world in whatever little or big way that looks like for you. So that first mindset shift that we talked about was you don't have to sacrifice everything to get success. And the second one is that you need to start thinking like a man. I know that's very stereotypical and very gender specific, but what I'm saying is you need to change your mindset to be more in tune with you're in business to make money. And generally speaking, men seem to have that more than women. As I said, if this kind of stuff is striking a chord with you, if it's the kind of thing that you think, hey, maybe more people should be talking about this, but you also want strategies, because, hey, I am the strategy queen when it comes to scaling businesses, make sure you head over to salenaknight.com/breakthrough, sign up to the Breakthrough series. It is completely free, and I've got 4 trainings in there that will give you information like this to help you scale your retail or e-commerce business. So the third thing I want you to think about when it comes to mindset shift, and hey, no one makes these shifts overnight, right? Like, don't be hard on yourself if you can't wake up tomorrow and get all this right. When I work one-on-one with a client, things like this big mindset shifts, they generally take between 3 and 8 months. Like, you understand it, but you don't get it, right? You don't feel it, and your brain does not do that snap where all of a sudden it makes sense. Generally speaking, for somewhere between 3 and 8 months, let's call it 6 months, to be on the average. And somewhere around that, let's call it 6-month period, when I work one-on-one with clients, is where they come to a call one day and they go, OMG, I get it now. Like, I get it. I'm in this to make money. And whereas they got it before, it actually permeates their whole business self. And it's this true CEO mindset that steps up and steps to the core. And when they get that, and I can always see when it happens, when that happens, that is when the business just takes off exponentially, because all this stuff just snaps like that. Like one day they wake up and it's just there. It makes sense. So the third thing I want you to think about when it comes to mindset shifts is this belief that we tell ourselves of something like, I'm not good with numbers, or I'm not very good with money, or I don't really know how to do negotiations. Look, the fact is, I failed accounting twice when I did my uni degree. And it wasn't, I mean, that was really hard to fail accounting, because I've been out on my own since I was 14 years old. I've been making my own money since I was 14 years old. I've been in charge of my own money. I've bought property, I've invested, I've had to watch every penny, all those sorts of things. And so I always thought I was really good with money, and failing accounting twice was really difficult, because here was somebody who's always been in control of their money. In fact, their whole life was revolving around money, because when you don't have money, you have to know, you have to make sure there's enough money in the bank to pay the bills, to buy food, all those sorts of things. And failing accounting said to me, like, you don't know anything about money. But here's the funny thing. The minute I went into business for myself, it all made sense. Like all of a sudden, it wasn't just numbers on a page. It wasn't, what do they call it? Double column accounting. I don't know. I've got zero for that these days, and a bookkeeper and an accountant. But when it was money in my till, in the bank account, money that I was physically handing over or direct depositing into suppliers' accounts, then it made sense. It was like, oh my God, it's just money. Like, they're not numbers, it's just money. And the conversation I was having yesterday with this retailer about, she actually said to me, oh, I'm not very good with numbers. And I said, well, what makes you think that? And she said, oh, well, I'm just, not very good with numbers. But I think it's less about not being good with numbers and more about having your head in the sand, especially if your business isn't doing the kinds of revenue numbers that you want, or, hey, I said right back at the beginning, maybe you're juggling money to pay your staff or pay your suppliers, and you're not paying yourself. You're constantly moving money around to try and pay all the things that need to be paid. And so when you're in that mindset, it can be a little bit hard to actually have I'm going to say it, have the balls to actually look at what is broken in your business and what you need to do to make it work. You don't want to look closely, because if you do, you might find out that this thing that you have worked so hard for, that you've probably put tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars into, that you've spent months or years of your life putting your blood, sweat, and tears into, is not sustainable. And hey, it might even be a little bit shit. But the numbers don't lie. The numbers are the most fundamental diagnostic tool in your business. And so if you're not spending the time to look at them because you're scared of them, you're not actually valuing this business that you've created. You're not valuing yourself. You're not giving yourself the chance to thrive. You're just playing shop. That's it. Like, it's just a really expensive hobby. And if you are really serious about creating a profitable, scalable asset, and that's what your business should be, an asset. Your business should be something that you can take to the bank and get a loan against. Then you have to look at the numbers. You have to see what's working, and you have to see what's not. And you have to do more of the stuff that is working and less or none of the stuff that isn't. And you can't make those decisions unless you pull on your big girl pants and actually step up into that shopkeeper role and step up into the CEO role and stop being a shopkeeper, because the shopkeeper is just there to mind the store, right? The shopkeeper's job is just to turn up and be a body on the floor and make sure the product goes on the shelf and to make sure that you're there when the customers are there. That's not what you're here for. You're here to be the CEO of the business. You're here to run the business, to have this vision implemented to help your customers. And you cannot continue to do that if you don't make any money. Because if you're not making any money, you don't have a sustainable business. And if you don't have a sustainable business, then it won't be long before you have to pull down the website, shut the door, try and flog off what's left of your stock on Facebook. And if you do that, then who the heck is going to help your customers, right? They're not going to go to a department store and get the kind of service they were getting from you. It doesn't matter if you've got an e-commerce store or a bricks and mortar store. The fact is, as an independent retailer, you give to your customers way more than any department store would. And so you can't bitch about department stores and big box chain stores taking your customers if you're not going to put in the hard yards and actually build a business that makes money. Because if you don't make money, you won't be there to serve your customers. So if you are serious about growing your retail or e-commerce business, and you do know that you need some help, you maybe need a little bit of kick up the butt, you want some strategies, but you also want this holistic view, make sure you sign up for the Retail Breakthrough Series. As I said, totally free. It's 4 trainings that I do once a year. They drop on Friday, the 24th of September. If you're already on my mailing list, you don't have to do anything. I'll send them out to you on Friday. But if you're seeing this video or hearing this podcast for the first time and you're thinking, you know what, I probably want to know a little bit more about the way Salena works and how she helps people scale her businesses, totally free of charge, head over to salenaknight.com/breakthrough. And if you're watching this video, I would love it if you could leave me some comments. Is this the kind of situation you've either found yourself in? And are these 3 mindset shifts? Remember, we don't have to sacrifice everything to have success. And sometimes we've got to start thinking like a man. And you have to step up and be the CEO and be in control of those numbers. I actually know another person who runs a 8-figure business who every single day they have a team meeting to look at the numbers. And if they haven't hit the numbers that they're expecting, then they pretty much go, let's not say damage control, but they pretty much address what part of the funnel is broken, and they start tweaking and optimizing. Now, you don't have to be at that level just yet. And when you get to 8 figures, if that's not something you like doing, you can hire someone to be that person. Maybe your COO, maybe it is your CEO, and you move up into something like a director role. But right now, what you really need is to step up and be the CEO and take control of your business and stop being a shopkeeper. Whether you're online, whether you've got a bricks and mortar store, whether you sell through marketplaces, these kinds of mindset shifts that you need to make will get you to 7 figures and beyond. So I look forward to seeing you inside the Retail Breakthrough Series this week. salenaknight.com/breakthrough for more information, and leave me a comment and let me know if you've loved this conversation. See you later. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at salenaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@salenaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.